Alright, this is lesson 1.1, the first lesson from the unit comparing and scaling. We're going to be talking about some comparison statements. So, the objectives for this lesson is to know how to write and understand comparison statements. And to do that, we are going to analyze comparison statements. Let's get started. Alright. Read each of the comparison statements based on a survey below and tell which soda won and if it won by a little or by a lot. So this happens a lot in real life. A company such as Pepsi, Coke, Dr. Pepper, whatever, will have a taste test and they'll let hundreds of thousands of people taste something. People get to pick which one's their favorite, and then they can use that in their advertisement saying that more people liked our soda, therefore you should drink it. So, let's take a look at what this comparison statements say. Number 1, in a taste test, people who preferred Bolda Cola, so that's our first one, outnumbered those who preferred Cola Nola by a ratio of 17,139 to 11,426. So if we read this, Bolda Cola was chosen by 17,139 people. Cola Nola was chosen by 11,426 people. Therefore, we can use our reasoning skills to say that Bolda Cola won, and then 17,000 compared to 11,000, that seems like a lot. So I'm going to say won by a lot. Alright, number 2. In a taste test, 5,713 more people preferred Bolda Cola. Once again, Bolda Cola won because that's all that's even mentioned. And we can say, looks like they won by a lot. That's a large number. By a lot. Number 3. In a taste test, 60% of the people preferred Bolda Cola. Once again, Bolda Cola won. It's the only one being mentioned, and it says 60%. So Bolda Cola won. Now we have to see if it's by a lot or by a little. So if it's 60% chose Bolda Cola, that means the other part of that 100% chose Cola Nola. So if we have 100% minus 60%, that means 40% chose the other one. 60-40, that's not too big of a difference, so won by a little. Number 4, in a taste test, people who preferred Bolda Cola outnumbered those who preferred Cola Nola by a ratio of 3 to 2. Same exact wording up here, except for different numbers. 3 and 2 are not that different. So once again, Bolda Cola won. But this time by a little. So, Bolda Cola won by a lot, by a lot, by a little, by a little. Which statement is the most convincing to you and why? Well, let's see. If this company wants me to drink Bolda Cola, they want me to know that their soda won by a lot. So I probably won't use either of those, because that's not as convincing. If it only won by a little bit, it means it's not that much better. But if it means it wins by a lot, well, that seems a lot better. Number 1 is by a lot. Those are two pretty high numbers. Number 2 only has one high number. It has one high number associated with Bolda Cola. Doesn't even mention Cola Nola, therefore I'm going to choose it. So statement number 2, because Cola Nola is not mentioned. C. Is each statement based on the same information? How do you know? Well, let's take a look. 17,139 people, 11,426. In number 1, number 2 says 5,713 more people. More means subtraction. So I'm going to subtract these two numbers, see if I get 5,713. So 17,139. I'm just going to do some math up here. 17,139 minus, what was that number? 11,426. 11,426. Subtract those. 3, 1, borrow, 7, 5, nothing. 5,713. 5,713. So far, statement 1 and 2 are based on the same information. Now let's see. In a taste test, 60% of the people preferred bold cola. Let's see if we can equal out to 60%. So, actually, I'm going to do this one first. Number 4, a ratio of 3 to 2. So this is the same wording as this. Therefore, if it's using the same information, this ratio must simplify down to 3 to 2. So let's try that. So I have 17,139 to 11,426. Let's see, what can I divide by? I can divide by 3, nope. 2, nope. What can I divide by? 4, no. Let's break out the calculator, since my mental math just failed me because I can't figure out anything that it divides by. So, 17,139. Let's see if I can divide by 7. Nope. 17,139 divide by 13. Nope. 17,139. Wonder if I can divide it by the other one. 11,426. 1.5 times. That's interesting. It's 1.5 times bigger. So let's see. $17,139 divide by 3. 573. 11,426 divided by 573. Nope. 17,139 divided by 3. That number was 5713. 5713. 11,426 divided by 5713. There's our common divisor. That's a weird number. So, divide by 5,713. Divide by 5,713. That means I get a ratio of 3 to 2. That is what statement 4 says, 3 to 2. And last but not least, statement number 3 says 60%. So, if 3 chose Boldicola and 2 chose Colanola, that means 3 people out of every 5 chose Boldicola. You should know that 3 over 5 is 60%. That should be one you have memorized. So, all 4 statements rely on the same information because of the math that we just showed. So all 4 statements are based on the same information because of the math shown. Now, how do you know? Sometimes you can just use math to show that, like we just did. Alright, let's move on to some practice problems. Once again, in a comparison taste test of 2 drinks, 708 students chose Berry Blast, 220 students chose Melon Splash. Complete each statement. There were blank more people who chose Berry Blast. Now, remember from earlier, more means subtract. So I'm going to take Berry Blast and put it on top because that is more than Melon Splash. Subtract them, I get 560. There were 560 more people who chose Berry Blast. In the taste test, percent of the people chose Berry Blast. So 780 is our Berry Blast number. Let's see, how many people in total took the taste test? Well, 780 plus 220 is 1,000. So 780 over 1,000. I can simplify this fraction, get 78 over 100. Another trick, anything over 100 is a percent. 78% of the people chose Berry Blast. People who chose Berry Blast outnumbered those who chose Melon Splash by a ratio of blank to blank. Put Berry Blast first, Melon Splash second. Figure out what a common divisor is. Well, first I'm going to get rid of the zeros. Divide by 10. Next, let's see what I can do. I can divide by 2. I get 11 over here. 8. Let's see, 78 divided by 2. 2 goes into 7 3 times. The 1 remainder, 18 divided by 2 is 9. 39 to 11. Nothing else can simplify those. I get 39 to 11. Make sure you keep those in order. Berry Blast came first, thus its number comes first. Melon Splash came second, thus its number comes second. Okay, number 2. In a comparison taste test of new ice creams invented at Moo University, 750 students chose cranberry bog ice cream, while 1,250 students chose coconut orange ice cream. Sounds like some weird flavors, but names don't matter. Let's just worry about the problem itself. Complete each statement. The fraction of students who chose cranberry bog is blank. Well, the fraction of students who chose cranberry bog, so I'm going to put cranberry bog on top, 750, over, now it says the fraction of students. That means all the students. So to get all the students, we do the same thing we did up here. We add them together. So 750, 1250, add them together, 2,000. 750 over 2,000. Now, that can be simplified. Probably should be simplified, however, it's not asking us to, so we're going to skip that for now. The percent of students who chose coconut orange is blank percent. Well, coconut orange is the other number, 1,250. We know there were 2,000 students, like we just found out. Now I'm going to turn that fraction into a percent. Let's see if it's as easy as the other one. First, get rid of the zeros. 125 over 200. Next I'm going to simplify it. Divide by 25. 125 divided by 25 is 5. 200 divided by 25 is 8. Now I need to turn 5 over 8 into a decimal and then a percent. To turn 5 over 8 into a decimal, we do long division. 5 divided by 8. 8 does not go into 5, but it will go into 50. Goes into 50 6 times. I get 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. Add a 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 20 twice, which is 16. Subtract, I get 4. Add a 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. That is 40. Subtract, no remainder. My decimal is 0.625, which, to turn that into a percent, you move the decimal over 2 spots to the right. So 62.5%. Last but not least, students who chose coconut orange outnumbered those who preferred cranberry bog by a ratio of blank to blank. So, coconut orange comes first, which is 1,250, and cranberry bog is 750. Well, first I can get rid of the 0 again, simplify it. Now I'm going to divide by 25. 125 divided by 25 is 5. 75 divided by 25 is 3. ratio of 5 to 3. Notice we're making what we had to analyze to start with. Multiple statements describing a single set of information. These 3 statements describe this information. These 3 statements describe this information. So, that is the end of lesson 1.1 in comparing and scaling. Let's go back through and make sure we answer everything correctly. We analyzed all the statements, answered some questions about them, and then completed our own statements given 2 different taste tests. So that is the end of lesson 1.1 of comparing and scaling. Up next is lesson 1.2 of comparing and scaling.